Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Probably my second favourite show after Star Wars. What about you?
Favourite show. I like hot takes, least work.
Joining me is Patrick Tomlinson and Joseph Van Straten, the three amigos back at it like Celtic in the 90s with Georges Cadet, Pierre Van Hooijdonk and who else for a bonus point?
PDC.
PVC?
PDC.
PDC, that is right.
Jesus.
Paolo Di Canio. What a player, bit of a fascist. First question, Finn Huthkoth. And he wants to know about Liverpool.
What a terrible name.
What a terrible attempt.
Yeah, well, he's gone over the character limit there, so get what you're given. Finn. And he's asked, what do you think about the latest rumours about Fekir joining Liverpool? Would he be the right man to strengthen Liverpool's midfield? Which of the midfielders should Klopp go for? Okay, today, a lot of papers around Europe think that Liverpool have lodged a £70 million bid, 50 plus add-ons apparently, for Lyon's mercurial number 10, Nabil Fekir. Patrick Van Straten, what do you think about this? Because he has been in scintillating form this season.
Yeah, he's a great player, but the premise of the question doesn't really make sense, because is he the right man to strengthen their midfield? No, he's not a midfielder.
Knowledge.
When he plays in the number 10 position, he doesn't play it like a number 10, he plays like a second striker. He also plays on the right wing. He's really, really good out wide because he's great in the one-on-one. But you're not going to really drop him into a three-man midfield. He's never played there and he doesn't really fit that position to me. It's going to take away from all the things he does well. He's such a great talent, but I think in order to get him in your team, at the same time as your other three forwards, you're going to have to go to 4-2-3-1. And then I don't see how there's a place for the Ox. I think that you're relying on whichever defensive midfielder you sign and Naby Keita to gel immediately. Plus, you're abandoning a system which has worked really well for you this season and has got you to a Champions League final. They rely on having that midfield superiority. So I kind of think, yes, I would love Nabil Fekir to play under Jurgen Klopp. Yes, he would be really amazing when he got on the pitch. On the other hand, I don't see why he'd go there to be a backup to those three forwards. And I'm not sure why they'd completely change the way they play for him. He's not that player.
But of course he is well versed in that 4-3-3, isn't he? Because Bruno Genesio's side have moved on from that 4-2-3-1. But at Lyon, it's more of a 4-3-1-2 with him in that number 10 position, playing as almost a second striker. So if you put him out wide, say he takes Sadio Mane's place, put him on the left-hand side where Coutinho played, and he is the most like-for-like replacement, I think, when it comes to Coutinho in the market that Liverpool could currently go after. You lose a lot of pace. Obviously, you put Fekir out wide, and he's blossomed as a number 10, so that also doesn't make sense.
And he's on his wrong foot, right? Because then you've got a left footer on the left side. He wants to come inside and
I agree. I think there's more obvious areas to strengthen. Joseph, what do you think for £70 million? Is this money well spent?
I definitely think there are areas of that team that need more work than that role. So we've obviously identified a goalkeeper before. I think they might look to upgrade Lovren as well this summer, although he has had a very good back end of the season. Potentially a defensive midfielder to work alongside Naby Keita, because we've spoken about in the past. We're not convinced about Jordan Henderson. James Milner's getting no younger. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's got a serious knee injury. So I think they'll definitely go for another central midfielder. But I think this would be €70 million well spent. I actually think they need the depth. I think they need the creativity going forward. And at times, when they played that front four this season with Coutinho, Mane, Firmino and Salah, I thought they were almost at their best, Liverpool, especially when trying to break down teams that were sitting deep. I think we all know about Liverpool's fantastic speed on the counter and how they can decimate teams that come at them. But at times, I think they do struggle to break down the smaller sides, particularly away from home, that just sit right on the edge of the area, two banks of four, and you need that kind of locksmith who's just going to one slide ball around the corner, one little piece of brilliance on the edge of the area, which Coutinho used to offer that Liverpool haven't yet replaced. And I know that he wants to. It's obviously well documented that Fekir is more of a second striker, I don't want to say in the Dele Alli mould, but plays more of that area of an attacking midfielder than maybe a Coutinho. But I presume Klopp thinks he can get the best out of him playing a slightly more reserved role rather than out on the left, because there is no space for him out there, is there, with Sadio Mane? And there's definitely no space down there out on the right where Mohamed Salah's concerned. But I remember reading an interview with him in 4-4-2 a couple of months ago for Kit, and he said that he was only interested in joining sides that played attacking football.
Yeah.
He had no interest
Lyon
in
and
joining.
Liverpool, aren't they?
Yeah, he had no interest in joining a team that was going to play negative football. And I think we're all in agreement that Liverpool play extremely exciting football. So I think he's a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to play 4 up front at Liverpool again, then you need to invest in that midfield too, because I don't think they currently have the personnel to make that work, especially with Emre Can departing. So we've discussed it before, but if they brought in the likes of Jorginho, they've also been linked with Maya from the Bundesliga, then okay, maybe they're better equipped to go even more gung-ho than they are now. But I actually think that Firmino has become that person who unlocks those sitting defences, and they were the second team to score 100 goals in the league this season. So I actually think in terms of the season before, they struggled with that big time, and they lost silly games, didn't they, or drew or dropped points to the likes of Burnley, Sunderland.
They've had a lot of draws.
They've done that
this
again.
season
They've
as
done
well.
that again this year, though. They've done that so consistently this year. That's why they're 26 points or whatever behind.
Yeah, but the expected goals in a lot of those games would suggest that they should have won them, right? Although Salah is probably scoring at a unprecedented rate. But I think they should invest that money, like you said, maybe in a goalkeeper, or even in someone like Koulibaly, who could partner Virgil van Dijk. What a fearsome central pairing they would be. And there's other talent in that Lyon side that I actually think would complement the current Liverpool setup even more so, like Aouar and Dembele, both very adept at picking the ball up from the defenders, very quick on the transition. That's where the sort of similarities are between Lyon and Liverpool. They break at lightning speed. Their fullbacks are very intent on pushing up the field. And I also like Toussaint in that Lyon team. Does a lot of defensive work. And there's no one currently in the Liverpool setup that tackles more or has a high defensive output than James Milner with 3.5 tackles and interceptions.
So do you not think that's what Naby Keita's been brought in for?
That is a problem.
To some extent, but this is my thing about, like, he's also going to get forward and he is going to give you those combinations and beat people in the final third.
If that's what Klopp wants from him, though. Klopp might be bringing him in to play a more reserved role.
But you don't sign him to play a reserved role. Like, otherwise you could just sign a normal defensive midfielder. Like, the thing about Keita is, like, he's got such a varied skill set. But I think I agree with you in the sense that I think if you want to win the Champions League, and obviously everyone wants to win the Champions League, but you can get through the Champions League with a bit of luck and quite a thin squad. Liverpool have got a really thin squad, but they've played really well and their team is well set up for the Champions League. If they want to do better in the league, you have to be anti-fragile, right? So that means that you need depth in all these positions. You can't have something where one injury to one person basically sees your entire team fall apart. So if this Ox injury had happened back in January, I don't think we would be talking about Liverpool in quite such glowing terms, because that squad is so thin and we're seeing things like it destabilises other areas. So suddenly Trent Alexander-Arnold is having to play centre midfield, which means your right back zone is destabilised, and it's this cascading, fault system.
And Coutinho would have fit in. Well, he could play in the 4-3-3 in the midfield three, couldn't he? Whereas Fekir, probably not so much.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not like they're struggling really to overrun people in attack. I completely agree with you. Like, when you look at their respective goals this season, they're outrageous. They're the second highest scorers in the league, but they're by far the second best, if that makes sense. They're way ahead of the chasing pack. And so I think that their attack is always going to be fine. What I'd want, if I were Liverpool, is to make sure that one injury is not going to ruin our season, because I think that next year and the year after are going to be their opportunities to win the league. My worry with this a little bit, if I were a Liverpool fan, is I think, are we already planning for Salah leaving at some point?
Yeah, see, my worry as a Liverpool fan is that they've also been linked with, quite strongly as well, with Ousmane Dembele, who's finished the season in reasonable form at Barcelona. I watched the game against Villarreal the weekend just gone, and they were formidable first half, and I think Dembele must have completed, his standard 5 dribbles in 45 minutes of football. But that would also be an extremely interesting move, and they would be paying out the nose. So does this suggest Liverpool are shopping in that area, aren't as concerned about other areas as perhaps we are, and that they're going to spend big, Joseph?
Well, I think maybe that Klopp's looked at some of the other sides around Europe and their attacking depth, and
They've got Danny
comparatively.
Ings, Divock
I know.
Origi, mate.
But you look at a sort of a Manchester City and you think, how does he fit Aguero, Jesus, Sane, Sterling all into one team, and Bernardo Silva as well?
And
then
get
you
10 goals out of Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, and then you look at Madrid and you look at their depth as well. Same could be said of Barcelona when they bought Coutinho in, although admittedly he plays a little bit more reserve. So I think maybe Klopp's thinking I need a little bit more depth. I think Ousmane Dembele would be an interesting one in that. How much would he cost? I mean, what did he move for? 150 million last summer? I think he's played probably
130 with
sub
some of that
20
add-ons.
games.
But I'd actually be much more on board with Dembele than Fekir in a way, because Fekir is actually like the same age like as Salah, Mane and Firmino. Like he's younger than Firmino. Like they're in that kind of 25 to 26. They're in that 25 to 26-year-old range, whereas Ousmane Dembele is so much younger that he safeguards the future of your attack for so much longer. Yeah, I mean the thing is you could then think about selling Mane or whatever. If you could get really good money for Mane and basically trade Mane in like 50 mil for Ousmane Dembele, I think that's probably worth it.
As good as Mane is, he's the obvious person to upgrade.
And Ousmane Dembele can play on the right and the left, whereas Salah can only play on the right. You would suddenly have much more depth actually across your front.
I don't see Barca. Well, to be fair, I mean the chat is obviously that Griezmann's effectively agreed to join Barcelona anyway. So if he does come in, I don't really see where Ousmane fits into that side as it is.
There's a space on the left. Who plays on the left?
Yeah.
In a Barcelona team, like Messi doesn't want to play on the left. Suarez doesn't play on the left.
Well, Messi
Griezmann
almost
doesn't play on the left.
Messi is playing attacking midfield now, isn't he? And when Luis Suarez is rested, they almost don't play with a recognised forward, and it sort of worked against Villarreal because they won 4-1.
And their problem solving itself because of Suarez's age as well.
Messi's going to definitely start playing in midfield over the next.
And then you're fine. You've got Griezmann off one side, Suarez in the middle, Ousmane off the other, and then when Suarez is too old, Griezmann goes up front.
And surely Jurgen Klopp, just to go back to how Liverpool would fit Nabil Fekir into their team. Surely if you're Jurgen Klopp, you don't want to revert to a 4-2-3-1 because that means Salah's further away from the box. I know he's a winger
Good
now,
point.
but he is also having 5 shots inside the box per night, isn't he? Liverpool, I think this all points towards the fact that Liverpool have a very coherent transfer plan and they go after the players with the sort of profile we like, right, between 22 to 25, invest big in them, and it's improved them dramatically. So they're doing smart business. It's Ousmane Dembele though. I think that's paper talk.
That's a metro transfer.
Oddballs.
Yeah, because he's linked with Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
That's the
Jesus
Sun
Christ.
transfer.
There seems to be a fair amount of pull with the Fekir one. What do you guys think? Would you like to see Nabil Fekir in the Premier League? Of course. Madness if you say no. Would he fit in well at Liverpool? Better question. Should have asked that. Next up then, we're going to rifle through a few of your questions because hard to give you sizable chunks about stuff we've talked to death pretty much. We're all hanging on, waiting for the World Cup, waiting for the transfer window. Don't worry, baby. The views are around the corner. That's what I keep telling myself. Go and watch Football Mundial if you haven't watched it already because 22k on last week's episode is unacceptable from you guys. All right? We're trying our hardest.
You've been told.
Let's start with Kyle Webster. I
I'm
think
not
this
trying
one
my hardest.
is mainly... Yeah, clearly that's why we're doing this because you couldn't be bothered to research.
What are you
the
talking
rest of the
about? I did
questions.
research them. What do you want on like, is winning the league more difficult than winning
2
the Champions
doubles,
League?
invincible season.
You
That's my
Yeah,
script out my hand.
what do you want me to do?
Rude.
Put every manager there?
Yes.
Like,
The suggestions.
you get out.
Potty mouth.
Oh, do you want
Right.
to do France's starting 11 for the World Cup again? Thanks to the 12 of you who sent that question in. Is Oxlade-Chamberlain's injury going to ruin England's chances at the World Cup? What chances? Shut up. Moving on.
This is my fault. I called the audience out and it's
Mate.
snowballed. It's snowballed. It's out of control. You're out of control.
They're rubbish. Why can't we get Copper 90s audience?
Kyle Webster. He didn't mean that. He did not mean that. That's part. Right.
Look at me. Look at my face.
Where does Arsene Wenger rank amongst the all-time great managers? Patrick Strong, quick answer. Let's say in the Premier League then.
In the Premier League, second.
What's
After.
After Ferguson.
And who's third? Your top
Mourinho.
three.
Mourinho.
And justification for him
Fourth,
being better than
Allardyce.
Mourinho.
Fourth Allardyce?
I'm thinking about Allardyce. Justification for him being better than Mourinho. I think he had more of a revolutionary effect on the league. I think that his team... I don't know, he did it while spending... didn't like spend versus the rest of the league. Like he just like built a really good squad. I think he created Thierry Henry, which in turn basically created the modern striker. Yeah, that's
Some big sentence there. Joseph, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Ferguson, Wenger, Mourinho would be my top three.
And what does Mourinho have to do to claim that second spot? If he won the Premier League with this Manchester United side, would that elevate him above Wenger because
probably
league success?
Yeah, probably.
It probably would. This is definitely his biggest challenge as a manager, I think. Actually, having said that, obviously the Pep Guardiola challenge from Barcelona was pretty large, wasn't it, when he was at Madrid?
It was, but he did also have like Cristiano.
Yeah.
He had a very good
Yeah,
team. Like, now it's hard to see how anyone beats that.
Yeah, I think
the hardest time to ever win the Premier League.
I think it's definitely would be his greatest accomplishment. I think I don't know. I think he's got to be around for a little bit longer.
Okay.
To be honest, he's got to build a bit more of a legacy than just 3 seasons. That's a start.
Just stick around. It's a surefire way to be remembered, isn't it? Okay, next question. Ashfaq Hussein. Is winning the league more difficult than winning the Champions League?
Yes.
Depends what league you're in. The Premier League, yes it is. The Bundesliga or Serie A, probably not.
What has happened to the Bundesliga this season? It's an absolute shambles. Are Schalke still second, about 30 points behind Bayern?
I think they're guaranteed to finish second now.
Dortmund, if Dortmund don't find... Quick question then, just a little nuance on this question. Who should Dortmund hire next season? Because Stöger cannot stay there.
Arsene Wenger.
Insipid football.
Adi Hutter from Young Boys.
No, Arsene Wenger.
Are the scenes at that Young Boys title winning game unbelievable?
Or get Schmidt back.
There.
Yeah, better.
Yeah, Schmidt, get him back in.
There are just no briefs, mate, for the World Cup.
Or bring in the Brain. Bring him back. Bring him back as a manager.
The Brain? Well, he's taken over Arsenal, isn't he? Lol. My opinion on this. I mean, if you're Porto or Monaco in 2003, was it 2003? Then probably not, but yes, winning a title much harder in La Liga or the Premier League. Nothing to add to it, sorry. Ali, 1997, IA. Okay. He's asked, what are you most excited about in football in the coming year? Personal question. We like these. What do you reckon, Joseph?
The World Cup, obviously, but putting that to one side, the transfer window. I think the transfer window is actually probably my favourite part of the year. I love just the chaos that ensues. So I think this is going to be a properly exciting transfer window as well.
Yeah.
This is going to be a properly exciting one. I think there's going to be some big moves. I think Madrid are going to spend a lot of money. I think Barcelona might sign Griezmann. I think United will spend a lot of money. Chelsea are going to spend a ton of money.
Well,
they should get forgiven.
There's teams that are responding to utter dominance, aren't they? Big teams. So Barcelona probably go undefeated. Man City romp the league title. Bayern Munich, I mean, let's face it. Quarantine Tolisso still the record sign.
There's also going to be a lot of good managerial moves.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's a combination of players and managers.
Yeah.
And actually, I've got to say as well, like, a bunch of years in the past, I've been like, wow, there's not really that much talent around at the moment. And this year, there's talent everywhere. There are so many like young, exciting, wide players, you know, who might move. There's a managerial merry-go-round. There are loads of young central midfielders who are really exciting as well. Like the World Cup, France could literally like pick their first 11 and then say we're not going to take any of those to the World Cup and still have a good shot of getting to the quarters.
Are you actually discussing the French team after looking them up?
I put it in under the radar. I didn't have to call it out. But I mean, there's so much talent that I'm really excited to see where some of these people end up, because we could see some real explosions next year from these young players. And actually, on that note, I mean, obviously the World Cup aside, Arsenal's new manager, I think, will be fascinating. Like, if Arsenal get a manager who can coach a defence, they could actually be really fun to watch next season. Or if they get like a dumb manager, they could be like catastrophic. Yeah. So I don't know, like that's for what I'm excited about that as an Arsenal fan, because being an Arsenal fan has been so boring for the last few years.
Yeah, being an Arsenal fan and being petty and boring, would you take an inspiring
more
hire
petty than boring,
if Pochettino left Spurs?
No, because I don't really care about Spurs that much. Like, it depends who Spurs get in instead. If they get Ranieri, and I'll take Vieira. I don't care. Like, that'd be quality. But I don't know really. Even if we get Arteta, who knows? Like,
could be Arteta.
Could be fun.
Okay. Is there anything else down here that I've not mentioned? Oh, Luke Jacks. Which manager has had the worst / most disappointing season? Neil Lennon.
Really? At Hibs?
No, he's had a decent season, but he said he was livid. They lost to Hearts. I'm sure Yeah, let's talk about that for a while. Let's talk about the Edinburgh Derby.
So
let's not.
who would you say?
Worst, most disappointing season, Joseph?
Conte's got to be up there, right?
I think Antonio Conte's got to take it. I don't see.
He's so good.
Imagine if they
So
picked Liverpool
poor.
to the Champions League
So
on the last day of
poor.
the season.
Yeah, I think Conte has to be right up there. And then obviously Wenger. I think if he wasn't leaving at the end of the season, he would be right in amongst this mix.
What's
Yeah,
Peter
I
Bosz
agree.
doing? He should be hanging his head in shame. He's ruined the Bundesliga.
If Real Madrid hadn't got to the final of the Champions League, I mean, I know that's ridiculous, but if they hadn't got to the final of the Champions League, Zidane has had a bad year.
But I also
Simeone hasn't had a great year,
I also
actually.
think
But if he wins the Europa League.
for a manager,
Still, though.
for a top manager who's a little bit maligned, as lucky as they have been in the Champions League, I think at the start of the season they're extremely unfortunate in the league. They were
Yes, I agree.
absolutely
I agree
battering
with
sides and losing points.
Yeah.
So I don't think they, again, if we talk about expected goals, they'd probably be above Atletico, wouldn't they?
Carlo Ancelotti is
Mark
on the show, by the way.
Hughes.
Carlo Ancelotti getting let go by Bayern Munich. at
But
the start
again,
of the season.
why aren't AC Milan hiring him? I think we talked about this last season, but I watched the Coppa last week. I think I watched the Coppa Italia. I don't
Oh,
think
Montella.
I watched it. Yeah.
Montella's been sacked twice this season.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Mark Hughes.
But he wasn't
Yeah.
disappointing in the sense that we all knew he
How
was
was-
absolute dog
How
shit.
has he finished the season on the upturn?
Because he got lucky.
I don't know,
against
but I've seen Southampton fans actively celebrating his long-term contract on my social media.
I think what this shows is Southampton are actually too good to go down. You know, like their squad is too good to go down. But Mark Hughes, you know, he is bad enough to
Sparky.
take any team down. So it's going to be an interest. The unstoppable force meets the immovable object. next
Pardew,
season.
there's another one.
Pard's definitely a candidate.
He's just gash, though.
I
It's just
can't
pure
imagine
rubbish.
he'll get another job in Premier League football ever again
And
after
Barry.
what was leaked from the West Brom camp.
Yeah.
Who else that kind of finished in the bottom rungs of the Premier League should have done better?
Well, you could argue, couldn't you, that what's your man's name, the Watford manager, who was giving it big
Andre
at the start of the
Silva.
season? Marco Silva.
Marco Silva. Andre Silva plays for
I
AC
mean,
Milan.
Marco Silva was linked with some pretty tasty clubs at the start of the season, wasn't he? And he was obviously linked with Southampton very heavily as well. Wanted to go to Everton, and then it all kind of spiralled after that, didn't it?
he overperformed, and then I feel like when the British press really push this club has turned your head narrative, it's very hard to shake, and I think owners almost feel compelled to make a snap decision. I think he would have kept Watford up for sure.
Yeah, so do I. But I think for him personally to end the season out of a job, I think was
I got you. A little bit of a fall from grace.
Yeah,
got you.
I've run out of questions. Anything you want to ask each other?
No.
Yourself? Maybe a bit of reflection?
No.
Yeah, fair enough. You should work on
I
yourself.
did actually think though.
Not
Shut up.
physically, because you're.
Thank you,
you're an
appreciate
absolute
that.
animal.
Akin Fenway said that off camera.
Yeah, go and watch that if you haven't already. Let's go straight to the end board. Stat Wars, the champions. Last week, who was it? You versus Statman Dave.
Yeah, Statman's
Statman Dave wins. And then this week is me versus Akin Fenway. Spoiler alert, watch out for that tomorrow. Joseph, what's happening on Football Daily? On Eurofootball Daily, 90+1, Balls Up.
Loads of videos, pretty much. But make sure, most importantly, you tune in on Sunday to watch our final game of the season. Watch along. We'll be sat in these very same, not these exact seats, but this area of the basement, watching the final games of the season with you and our mates at Now TV. So that should be fun from 2:30 on Sunday.
Because that's what we do. Same set, different seats.
Bosh.
Later.
Bye.